Welcome to the All Day Podcast. I'm Brett. That's Lofa. We're here talking Seahawks and Packers. Huge game this weekend in prime time on Sunday. So get lathered up and make sure you're down there at Lumen telling all those cheeseheads where they can stuff it. Lofa, we want respect around the league. Here's a way to get it. Big time primetime matchup in the NFC. We got to take care of business. How you feeling about this one?
Yeah, brother, I feel good. I mean, as we should, because we are streaking, like I called 2 weeks ago after our live. And the boys are proving me right. Thank you guys. And but yeah, about the respect. What do we got to do to get more respect? Because everyone's talking about San Fran, who plays tonight against the Rams. Unfortunately, 12s. We are San Fran fans tonight. Not the rest of the season. Just want them to just hold off those pesky Rams. But I mean, we're playing lights out defense. We're starting to get the turnovers. Offense is doing its job. We finally found a run game. I just don't understand the disrespect. But I feel like it's always happened up here in the Pacific Northwest.
Absolutely, man. We're always disrespected. We got a stack show for you guys here today. Seahawks legend, but also Packers legend, Ahman Green is going to be joining the show a little bit later to give us things from a Packers perspective. I believe he's the all-time leading Packers rusher, but he was also one of my favorite Seahawks to play NFL blitz with back in the day. So this is a very special day for me. What are your memories of Ahman Green?
Just in that red jersey, just trucking fools out running at Nebraska when I was growing up, man. Him, Grant Wistrom, Seahawks legend, right? Just they were stacked, and I still give them credit. Those mid '90s, late '90s teams that they were on, they were just running through teams and just imposing their will. It was good old fashioned football, and then I played against them on. I think it was a snowy day up here in 2006, Sunday or Monday Night Football. And the dude was a monster. Still, I think he played 12 or 13 years. Absolute beast. So excited to, ask him maybe some Nebraska stories. Definitely Seahawks. I think it was 2 years, his first 2 years he was up here, and just ask him about that. And then even how the trade went down or what happened. But this dude, absolute legend everywhere he goes.
Can you imagine he stays a Seahawk, though? I mean, he did such great things with the Packers, but how did we let him go? How did we lose him? You're totally right.
About all that. We got Sean Alexander, but I mean,
I know.
If get to run behind this guy, Hutch, Tobeck, Chris Gray, Locklear, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, man. Also, we will have a Seahawk on this episode. I have not been told yet who the Seahawk will be, but we'll have a Seahawk. We're going to look around the league, look at some of these trades that went down. Maybe it's some buyer beware out there. Did these trades go well or not? Heisman predictions. Who does Lofa think should win the Heisman? Lots to talk about. There's a whiny Patrick Mahomes out there. He's whining about things, Lofa.
Whiners at the Atlanta Club.
Oh, buddy, stack show today. But back to the Packers here. Like I said, we as Seahawk fans want respect. The Seahawks want respect. We're not getting any from anyone around the league. All of the talking heads, they're still picking against the Seahawks. No one believes in the Seahawks. And for the most part, it's because of the quarterback, as usual. If I see a national, person with makeup on talking on TV again, talking about how they would pick the Seahawks if we had a quarterback. What are you talking about? We have a quarterback. Lofa, come on, tell him.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Gino played the cleanest game, the game we needed out of him. People were still pissed off. I was on Chuck and Buck and a couple other radio spots, and they were just like, oh, but, we wanted to see Gino really go for it. I was like, okay, we won 30-18, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Unless he throws for 404 touchdowns with 0 interceptions, 0 sacks, no one's going to be happy up here. I mean, even Dude, and rightfully so. Russ, he played a very clean game over there in Pittsburgh, but I think he had like $140, $150 with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Very clean. The game they needed, they won, and the praise is just being heaped on him for just like, oh, good decision making and everything. Gino, that's exactly what Gino just did, but with an extra 80 yards of passing, and like they were just like, nah, wait till we get a quarterback. We finally got a run game, and I'm not going to say we have it because that was, like I said, anybody could do it once. But the scheme that we use, brother, I've been begging for it since week 1. Like, we're not zone blocking well. We're not going to the second level. Let's just mix in some pullers and change the gap responsibility for the defense. So we did that, and we found out that even though Arizona is very good, they're not very disciplined, and we gashed them.
But why doesn't Gino get the respect? I feel like, I know we've talked about this all year long, but like in my world, in acting, in show business, we'd say he needs a better publicist, to be flat honest with you. Because as you're pointing out, the numbers are there, the productivity is there, the wins are there, the come from behind losses are there, but there's something optically I don't know what it is, because you're right on the money. Like Russell Wilson, for everything that he did here, like all the spectacular plays, but it's like a lot of backyard football, a lot of broken plays. That's not scheme or offensive genius or anything like that. A lot of times it would just work out. A lot of times you look up after a game, he'd only have like a $190, 220, something like that. Very like, clean, efficient games. That's what Gino's doing now. There's just something. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. It's whether it's off the field, on the field. Maybe Gino doesn't show up to as many red carpets. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, it's really the narrative, and it's hard to change your image. Is kind of what we're talking about when the stories out there of like at a couple different places and it didn't work out, right? But you're right. Like Sam Darnold, praise when Kirk Cousins had that thing rolling. Like he walked into a pretty damn good situation, and I would argue Gino walked into a horrible situation in terms of where we were ranked defensively a couple years back, one of the worst. Right? Even the offense. This is the same offense that Russ decided, like, hey, I got to go see what's on the other side of the fence. It's his career. Like I don't ever fault anybody for leaving or deciding like, okay, I got to take this chance and, go with it. But he walked in when there was very little hope, and him and Pete and the boys, they rallied 2 9-8 seasons. One led to the playoffs. One did not, unfortunately, because of some tiebreakers or whatever. And, but that story's still out there that he's not that guy. And I'm just here to tell you that he is.
Yeah, I want somebody out there to come at it with more of a fresh take. It's just getting tired. It just feels like it's the same thing they say every year, and you look up and here we are, top the NFC West. Quite possibly, honestly, one of the best teams in the NFL. Let's just say it, right?
Yeah, we're playing like it, and you want to. You want to be trending upward towards the end. And so, but you're right. Chime in, haters, or anybody that, would want somebody else. Like, give us why. Like,
well, or just tell us why Gino is disrespected around the league. Even if you're not a hater, if you're a supporter, what is it that you think Gino could do, or why in general is it that this just is the storyline, seemingly not just week after week, but year after year. Like we've been critical of Gino when we need to be, but overall, he's our quarterback. You're going to have ups and downs, but we guys just start rallying around him. I think we have as fans. I'd see a lot more 12s turn into rallying around him, but maybe to be honest, maybe they just keep using it as a rallying cry. That's all they can do, right? You have to turn it into a positive. And so hopefully they just keep riding the momentum of being disrespected.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And under the radar. That's where Mikey Mack wants to be, and the team. Like, go ahead. We don't care about that outside noise. Let's just keep taking care of business. That dominant performance we just saw, like, kind of proved it to me, because that alleged trap game where you go down after you won 3 in a row, feeling good, going from one road trip to the next. There was a lot of obstacles to overcome there, and they did, and they went in resounding fashion, just smashed the Cardinals.
Yeah, just keep proving people wrong. I feel like everyone's just waiting for them to stumble, or even though they're in third place right now in the entire NFC. That's not exactly an underdog team, but everyone's saying, oh, but the wheels are going to fall off, or seemingly like they're waiting for it. And so, this is the weekend. This is the game. They've been in a playoff mentality now for how many weeks? They're doing this
since bye week.
What are they calling this? They call it like death mode or something like that.
Really? Yeah. I didn't hear that one, but I believe it. Yeah, it is every
going though, that mentality of every week.
How long? What? I'm sorry.
How long can you keep that up? The playoff mentality, because they're going to need to keep it up for quite a few weeks in a row.
Yeah, so every case by case, week by week, you just keep doing it. It just becomes creatures of habit, becomes our habit and our way of thinking. And, we don't have to lose another game. As crazy as that sounds to every Seahawk out there, I'm very confident in saying this. We have found the winning recipe, and we have the pieces. We have the most emphasized or talked about defense in the league, and all we're missing is a couple more turnovers, and now they're gonna be like, oh yeah, those guys are amazing, because then we'll start blowing teams out like by 20 points. It's not that far-fetched. I see it. We need a couple more turnovers. We're getting the stops. We got the big hits, just disciplines there. But our pass rush, we are stacked at that D-line now that we're healthy. And, offensively, I'm just very impressed with how Grubb, Huff, and them have got creative in that run game, because there was a couple power play action passes that just held that intermediate zone. And it was like, now it makes it that much clearer of a picture for Gino. Whereas before it's like, okay, we can stop the run with 7. Like we're just going to sit back and then jump routes. And it's hard to get the ball out. It's like, okay, covered, throw it away or run, like there's nothing you can do.
You guys let us know. Tell us in the chat who has a better day at the end of the day. You guys know how we do this. One letter, O or D. Who's it going to be, Lofa?
For me, it's the defense. Like we found something special.
Yeah. Well, like how do they go after Jordan Love though, in these Packers specifically?
Dude, we were getting pressure on Kyler with just the front 4, and I haven't seen that out of us in a long time. Even though we've had some great weapons. So creatively, just we don't have to do anything crazy. Just do what we do best, and apply the pressure, because Detroit got after him last Thursday, and it was very uncomfortable to the tune of 7 points. I don't even know what the yards were in the first half, but 7 points. Now they make adjustments very well, and they either come in with a game plan and they're rolling at the start, or they make adjustments at the half and then they're rolling. So we can't let them have 2 good halves is really how I see it, as I approach it as a player and a former coach. Just you got to take something away. For me, I am taking Josh Jacobs away. This is one of the most underappreciated running backs, even though he's always in the top 5, led the league in rushing a year ago. Hawk fans, you should be familiar with him from that overtime Raider game, where I almost got the score prediction right, Brett. But we fumbled, they tie it up, and then he goes for like an 80-yarder to win the game. And I think he broke Bo Jackson's record doing that. So, but this is absolute stud. I mean, he's great out of the backfield as a receiver too, but we better have a tackling plan, boys. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to count the yards after contact, and we can talk to our friend Ahman Green about this after, because that's what's so scary about this guy. You can't take him high. Like, put your pride aside, and you have to get hits on the rib cage and the legs. Like, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but you have to stop his legs.
Yeah. They stick with it over there. Looking at their last game against Detroit, like you brought up, 18 carries for 66 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he likes to get into the end zone. That game was kind of wild because, to your point, they scored 7 points in the first half, but then they found something at halftime, Jordan Love and their offense, because they go 14 in the third quarter, 10 in the fourth quarter. Like I said, they stick with Jacobs on the ground. Love only threw for 206 and 1 touchdown. So where's the Love haters? Can you imagine if that was Gino's stat line?
Right.
He was, 12 of 20. So he only completed 12 passes. But like you said, Jacobs, he's their storyline, man.
See, and, credit to LaFleur. He's still stuck with the run game. This is one of the best offensive minds. He's, not got enough credit for all the years that he's had them competitive and at the top of their division. But what he's doing, and just to know that, okay, I've got one of the best running backs in the game, keep giving him the ball, stay patient, and then those shots will open up. Their defense did cause a turnover or two, and we'll get to that side of the ball and everything. But for me, it's the focal point is Jacobs, especially with the injuries they have. I think Dobbs is still in concussion protocol. Not sure if he'll make it, but they got Watson, they got Wicks, and they got Jaden Reed, who I don't know why they haven't used him. This is the guy I'm probably most concerned with, because they haven't had a lot of success without using him. So I'd imagine he's going to see a good share of targets. I think he's been held under 3 receptions for the last 3 weeks. And
no receptions last week.
Exactly. And so that's something they're going to fix. They self-scout. They're going to look at it okay, why aren't we having as much success as we had early on in the season? Because we didn't get it to this guy.
Well, their biggest target, possibly Christian Watson, last week, he goes 4 catches for 114. So we got to lock him up. But like we saw with the Cardinals, if we're able to lock him down with however they do it, Spoon, Reek, whatever, then someone else comes open, like this McBride kid from the Cardinals, So that's what worries me.
And they got Tyler Kraft,
who hasn't been on the stat sheet, or Kraft, exactly. Somebody goes, No.
So no shortage of weapons. Their offensive line is solid. And, and that's why, Jacobs has had some room to run. So this is a clash of the Titans, man. Heavyweight matchup, the one you want to see, 2 playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
If playoffs start right now, these are 2 teams that are in. And so I'm very interested to see not just our approach, but our, how do I say this? Our demeanor, right?
Yeah.
Do we act like this is a bigger game than it is? It's just another game, just another opportunity. And in the world of champions and that championship mindset, this is what every opportunity is an opportunity. It's just the next opportunity. And if you treat it, if we see some outlandish shit, if we see guys doing things they've never done, then we have to do some coaching in terms of just mental and emotional, even if we get extra penalties, if we're extra chippy, that'll tell me a lot in terms of where we need to go the next few games, regardless of results. I just want to see how they handle themselves, because that's something I got to give Pete credit to. Everything was a championship opportunity, right? And so no game was bigger than the next. And then when you get to that championship, it's just another game. That's how you play freely, and that's how you get out of your head and just go execute.
Yeah. If you guys want to put some respect on the Seahawks name or drop some wagers, you can do that at betonline.ag, the #1 world's most trusted betting site. You can get a welcome bonus with your first deposit for using our podcast network's name as a promo code. That code is
Believe, BLEAV.
That's right. All caps, BLEAV. You get a welcome bonus at Bet Online, whether you're using their mobile app available in any app store or the old-fashioned website. BetOnline.ag is where it's going down. Historically, we have had some very entertaining games against the Packers, especially in Lumen Field or CenturyLink or Quest or whatever they were calling it at the time. You got the NFC Championship game with Russ, of course. You have the Fail Mary, Golden Tate. Me, just as a fan of entertainment, I'm beyond excited for this primetime game against the Packers, because something crazy is going to happen. It is.
Yeah, and it's prime time, baby.
Prime time, dude.
The lights are out. It's going to be electric, man.
Where were you for the Hail Mary? Do you remember?
Where was I? I don't know. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, man.
Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, I think it was back in the apartment, just like, watching on TV. I had my direct TV back in the day, the refs on the strike and all that. It was wild.
Oh, it was the replacement officials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
One guy going touchdown, the other guy going incomplete. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. That was wild.
That was, that's a rough call. If you're a Packer fan, that's,
oh man.
I mean, the ball is just completely tucked into his midsection. Yeah. And GT just fighting his little way in there. And he's like, no, I got it. And the guy was like, I believe him. I believe that guy.
I remember that entire next week being a Seahawk fan, just sort of sheepishly being like, yeah, we had that one the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take it. Yeah. Looking at their injury report, Dobbs is listed with they list him here with the concussion, but on Wednesday he was a full participant. So I'm not sure what that means for the game status, but he might be out of that protocol. Other than that, offensively, I don't see much here. They're Josh Myers, their center guard, pectoral, but he's a full participant. Just looking through offensively, their tackle, Glover's limited in practice. Other than that, everything else is defensive for them.
Yeah,
they're kind of up over there.
They're very banged up on defense. I think I saw them lose 2 safeties. I don't know if what's his name? Alexander's back. Their star player. Xavier McKay. This is one of the best guys I've seen in the league. He's been kind of in and out with some injury issues, but I think he's got like 7 or 8 interceptions. Do not go his way if you don't have to, boys, because he's been known. There's just guys that are known to make plays. He's one of them. I think he's got like close to 20 receptions since he's been in the league, and it's incredible. So yeah, we got our work cut out for us in terms of overall, but defensively, their injuries, I think especially with our receiving core, that's going to be kind of the matchup I'm watching overall is, can we shut them down because they have so many injuries over there, and we got all these receivers, man.
Yeah. Kenneth Walker for us, I mean, looking at our offensive injuries here, Kenneth Walker, no practice on Wednesday still with the calf. Tyler Lockett looks like a veteran rest though. He could go off in this game, by the way. We could have a vintage Tyler Lockett game. Speaking of targets lately kind of being down a little bit, they're focusing on some other people.
And he loves primetime games, man. He shows up big when they, mean the most. So yeah, we'll see. Speaking of K9's injury, I wouldn't risk him, right? Like if there's any concern there.
Still? You keeping him on the shelf still?
Keep him on the shelf, man. Right next to the elf on the shelf. Just keep him there. Let him get fully healthy because it's just, we're finally showing some, resemblance of a run game, right? Yeah. And it's just like, okay, imagine what we would be like if he was out there because he's that much more dynamic. There's a guy that clocked 22 miles an hour on a run one time. Like, that's very fast, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I could do that on a fucking bike. But so like, I want him down the stretch. I want him when, it's playoff time. And I like what I'm seeing out of the offense. So let's just keep it going. And then when we insert him, it's just that much more explosive.
Yeah. DK Metcalf, the shoulder, he's a full go in practice. Abe Lucas was a full go in practice. Stone Forsythe, full participant in practice. There you go. Sophie Forsythe will be excited about that. We got to keep the O-line doing what they did, man. Like, it's just things to build on from last week. Gino, keeping him upright. So he's available, 0 sacks. Right? And so is that on Grubb? Is that on the offensive line? A little bit of both?
Credit to all of them. But specifically, I've always said this, it's one in the trenches. So if you can't run the ball and you make a team one-dimensional, just like what I'm hoping we do to the Packers. Take away Jacobs and make Jordan Love beat you, which, yes, he's a damn good quarterback, but the pressure that we've been consistently applying, to every quarterback right now, it's hard to, withstand that. And then you get all of a sudden someone comes free and just smoke the quarterback, and like that speeds up the clock. But yeah, I give credit to, Huff on the offensive line, and Grubb getting creative. Like they did a double puller. They pulled the guard and the backside tackle, and Olu went all the way out to the end. And so they created angles. So you don't always have to maul a guy like Walter Jones and boys did. Like you don't have to, you can just angle them out of the play, because there was 2 plays. And I told you, Lamea, he pulled around on Charbonnet's first 25-yarder. Lamea didn't hit anybody for 7 yards. Okay, if you have a blocker that doesn't hit anybody for 7 yards, because what we're trying to do is get a running back to go without being touched for 6-7 yards. You get a blocker and a running back going 7 yards, that's dangerous. We did the same play a quarter later, and this is the one where Sharps cut it all the way back and scored the touchdown. The puller didn't hit anybody. Just he was kind of out there who am I supposed to hit? Where is everybody? That credit goes to the coaches. And I mean, I'm very impressed with what the O-line did. They handled business. They did kick ass. But you create opportunity like that. Now we get to see what Sharps, K9, Mac can do.
Can you look into your fantasy crystal ball then, like we did last week? What does Nostra Lofa have for us this week in terms of Seahawks offense? Who's going to score the most fantasy points?
Lofstradamus and his crystal ball. I call for the same recipe. We're gonna use the same rounds. We're gonna see how disciplined this defense is, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. So we stick with this, which created a lot of opportunity for the passing game. My breakout player of this game, this is tough because JSN is on absolute fire right now, and this is one where I want to take him because they're gonna find a way to stop Sharps. They're gonna be like, look, we watched how they ran the ball. Just do not let Charbonnet get going. And I just think with the banged up secondary, JSN that's a nightmare matchup.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's one thing that nobody from around the country, nobody from a national perspective can deny, and that's JSN and what he's doing this year, especially on my fantasy team. But I think that it's not he's not a surprise anymore, I don't think, to anyone around the league. And I think what's cool is when one of your players can be doing it when everybody knows that they're going to do it. And then you have something, you're not just a little slot receiver who's sneaking up on anybody anymore, but also, but when they're game planning for him and he's still able to go off. And so we have a real superstar here on our hands. And I think he just continues doing what he's been doing all year, especially with their banged up secondary. Big game for him.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And I just the danger of that is, okay, you have to pay DK respect because he can just run by anybody and he's 6'4". You start paying JSN, a little more respect and putting your best cover guy on him specifically and maybe double teaming DK. Now you're one-on-one with Lockett. And I know he's been quiet, but part of me wants to go with Lockett because of this reason, because if I was game planning this, I'm like, all right, you know what? DK proven, JSN proven, Lockett super proven, but we haven't seen anything. So let's double put our best guy on JSN, and then we'll take our chances with Lockett, and just be careful what you wish for because Lockett's still that dude.
Yeah, and tight ends too. How about Barner continuing to break out? Maybe a couple more physical runs. Noah Fant. Where's the tight ends at?
I love Barner and his attitude. There was one guy to beat, and I wanted him to just juke him because I wanted to see his speed. He's got real speed. But what did he do? Just like he told us when he jumped on the podcast, he's like, I like to just punish people. If you're in the way, you're done. And Pharaoh too. He's been looking good. And so, we're stacked there. Noah had some great catches. The third down, that was just an absolute rocket to him. unbelievable catch they showed in slow motion, and then he turned up field and got an extra couple yards. But yeah, man, we got a lot of weapons, so it's exciting when you get to the point where I don't know who the breakout player could be because everybody's doing their job, everybody's chipping in. So
yeah. Who do you guys think it's going to be? Drop it in the chat. Who's going to be going off for the Seahawks offense? Who's going to be the number one fantasy scorer after this game?
Give us the name and why.
Drop a name in there. Also, if you're headed to the stadium, if you're going to Lumen this weekend, or even if you're not, maybe you have seats that you want to sell, do it with epicseats.com. If you need seats, epicseats.com has them for you. And like I said, if you want to sell some, do that. Try to make sure you're selling to Seahawk fans, though. We had Jimmy Seats on here earlier this year talking about it. I don't know how you can try to guarantee that, but if you are selling, do not sell them to Packers fans, everybody. I'm already nervous about the takeovers. I'm seeing a lot of Seahawk fans nervous online. The Packers travel very well. We know they're going to travel well for this game, but let's try to keep every one of them out of there if we can. But epicseats.com, everybody, is where you go. EPICSEATS.com. Nobody beats Epic Seats. Let them know that we sent you there by using our old show's promo code Take12. We heard Lofa on our hockey show, because I do a hockey podcast, guys, for the Kraken, and on our hockey show, somebody bought Kraken tickets using Take12's promo code, and it still worked on epicseats.com. You guys follow that?
There you go. Yeah.
It's still alive and available over there at epicseats.com. What about it, though? What about the traveling fans? Are we going to see what happened earlier this year? And, hopefully that doesn't throw off the team, because honestly, nobody's been infiltrating Lumen in the last little stretch here. We've kind of taken care of that problem for a little while. The team's been playing good, so we got to hold serve with that.
Yeah. No, it was loud, going back to when we played the Cardinals the first time. Like noticeably loud. And so that's why they call it home field advantage. So that'll help. And I hope, the 12 show up and show out, because this is a playoff matchup, and can't wait to see it. But yeah, we have to take control of our own stadium, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell yeah. The all-day crew will be there in full force. If you're going to the stadium, look for us. I'll be there. Lofa will be there. Producer Katie will be there. Mike will be there. McNeil. My buddy Bo is even driving up through town, my pal. It's going to be stacked. Oh, and also find us before the game, because Lofa's got to try the Seattle dog.
Oh, yeah.
This is your game. This is your game. Grilled onions and cream cheese. So be ready for that. You got anything else before we bring Ahman Green in here?
No, nothing I can think of. Just keep this train rolling.
All right. Let's make way for Ahman Green then, who hosts a podcast and talks Packers all the time and stuff like that. And I want to ask him about the running backs, get his perspective.
Yeah.
From this guy, just an absolute beast. I don't even know how to transition. Here comes Ahman Green.
I was going to ask about his time up here in, it would be Kirkland, probably.
Yeah,
probably
it was
at the
Kirkland.
time, right?
Yeah, it was Kirkland was the facility. And then I had an apartment my first year in Kirkland. And then my second year, going into my second year, I got at least a condo over in Bothell. So okay. I know that area. And my nephew went to Lake Washington High School that lived with me at the time.
Yeah, right there in Kirkland. Yeah. I got here in 2005, and I'm on Bellevue. Like, if you can think about it when you were here, that skyline now rivals Seattle's.
Really?
With all the buildings, man. They built it up so crazy. It's unreal.
Yeah, because I remember the mall downtown, and that was it pretty much. And they had a Roof Chris downtown. They had a Roof Chris. I went there plenty of times.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, I had a good time there, man. It was a team that got me in the league, team that got me going. I always have a soft place for Seattle in my heart, man. Was it for them, I wouldn't be in the league.
Oh, I think you would have been in the league.
But they got the ball rolling, I say.
Yeah. How does a 1,800-yard rusher, 20+ touchdowns go third round though? Because like backs were coveted back then. They were like, we want that running back.
Yeah, I'll tell you that in a second here. But I'll repeat it. It don't matter. So it was unfortunate. They were a lot of the scouts. I don't know, because I know one scout once I got to Green Bay kind of told me the reason why, and it was pretty much because if you remember the running back before me, Lawrence Phillips, he had a rough career and time at Nebraska too. So they thought, I was a copycat of that, and that's what some of the scouts were thinking in their head. But once they saw me run, I did a pro day my junior year at Lincoln, and even I went 4.17 and 4.18 in my 40. And they still were like, nah, he's a Nebraska back. What they said to my face, oh, he's a system back. Nebraska just runs the ball. That's it. That's why he's doing what he's doing. I'm like, don't they realize I was an all-state 100-meter sprinter, 200-meter sprinter, an all-state power lifter in the 198 weight class, and I played baseball on top of that. I was an outfielder, and so I could throw too.
So, okay, I'm going to say, and Brett, I know I'm taking up the time right now. We are recording, though, Ahman.
Okay.
Oh, you just keep chatting. I'm just listening.
Okay. It's hilarious that you say, 100 meter, 200. So when I'm watching film, there's 3 running backs in my time that when I watch film and I just saw how quick and how explosive, it was like, oh, man, they look smaller because of how fast they are. So Fred Taylor, and Sammy Morris.
Oh.
And not one of you was under 220 pounds.
No.
So when I got to the game day, I'm like, holy shit, that's Ahman Green? Like, and he's bigger than me. And I know he's faster because I watched the film. But that's why whenever I watch film to evaluate players, I just kind of take mental notes and just watch how quickly they move. And then, but you 3, I was surprised when I got to the game. I was like, wait a minute, that's that guy. Like,
right.
It's like, oh shit, buckle up the chin strap, boys. It's going to be a war.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Amon. Sorry.
No, you go. You got it.
Oh no, I was saying, Lofa, you talked about this game a bit. You think this was 06, right?
Yeah.
That was 06. I came back from my I tore my quad, and that was our first game back in Seattle in a while. So
oh man, I pulled it up here, you guys. It was a 34-24 Seahawks victory that day. Brett Favre threw for 266 yards, but he threw 3 picks.
Yes.
And Ahman had 14 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown. Lofa, what else do you remember about that game?
I just remember they ran an outside zone to the left, and I didn't know my guy had torn his quad because I bounced off of one of his quads. You were going to your right sideline. I was going to the left, and I got off a block, and I was like, yes, it's just him and me, and whoom, and we just go sideways. Or I go sideways, and then I just, like, when you're on the ground, I look up and I just see you're still running. I still see the nameplate going. I was like, no fucking way. No way he's still running.
Oh, man.
Luckily, some of the boys rallied and got you down,
Yeah.
I think after you got a first down, but I was like, well, shit, hey, you got to find out, right? And I was like, I'm not turning down no contact, but you got me on that one, brother.
No, we're definitely built the same way. That's how between what you said about watching film, I did the same thing for linebackers. My crew of guys that I had to deal with in my division between Urlacher, the Minnesota linebackers, the Detroit linebackers, all heavy and fast. Urlacher being fast with Lance Briggs too. So I watched how you guys followed me through, because you guys got to mirror us, right? If it's ISO, power, outside, y'all mirror us just to be there in the point of contact in the hole. So I paid attention to how I can sometimes, outwit one of you guys. But if the plan doesn't work, then I'm dropping my shoulder pad. Here we go. Like you said, you got to deal with it.
I matched wits. I didn't match muscle on that one.
And that's okay. Hey, it's a business deal. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that as a football player, like for guys that I watch play, you're one of them that I respect the game, and you respect the game, and it's physical. And at the end of the day, like when it came to what our position was about, linebacker to running back, meeting up in the hole, we knew it was going to get physical, and it's part of the business. And for me, I was never one guy to, if I'm running you over, or I'm not going to trash talk, because I know the next play you could get me. So it was fully respect. It was the same thing. I had this conversation with Derek Brooks I saw him years ago, and I said, dude, he's like, man, you were a problem. I said, dude, trust me, it was the same thing in my head. I just made sure when I saw 55, I made sure where you were at. I said, okay, I can see him. He's good. I see. And the same thing with you, Lofa. I would say, all right, 50, where 51 at? All right, 51's right there. Okay, boom, I got you.
Oh,
so
man.
making sure I saw guys in my radar. So then I know, okay, I'm good. At least I see them. So at least I could brace for contact or deliver the blow when going down.
You raised a great point. We got some kids that watch this, and I hope they're listening. When you said, a linebacker just mirrors the path of the running back, but the vision, because that's something when I was running the ball, I just had tunnel vision. Now, when I'm a linebacker, it opened up for some reason. It was slow motion for me. And like, where does that come from for a running back to like know when to set somebody up, how does that come to a running back?
It comes when, like, it started in high school. I remember my junior year high school, I had transferred schools. And so I grew a little bit more. I'll say I was on average from the time I was a freshman to a senior in high school, I picked up 10 pounds every year. So I went from my freshman year wearing 145 to my senior year wearing 195. And when I transferred to high school after my junior year, I got the ball in one of the scrims, and the coach was like, Ahman, I never seen you make that move. I just saw something, like, it was more instinctual. It started that way, right? It starts just happening. And I'm running the ball, and I remember it's an ISO play. I went up the middle, and I saw color to my right. And I so obviously seeing opposite color, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go opposite of that. And so the way I did the move, my coach, he was like, stop the film. We're watching. He's like, what? He said, I've never seen you do that. I'm like, coach, I was just reacting to whoever that was. I don't know if it was a linebacker or wide receiver blocking, D-line. I was just reacting. He said, hey, why he ran it back a couple times. He's like, all right, work on that. I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. So I watched the film, and I'm like, okay, I see what I did. And so from then, it went from being instinctual to now a trained pattern, like we do with 3-step cut drill. You guys doing your fit drills. So now I was working it as a drill, as you see today, kids on YouTube, they take the cones, put them down, making a move, but then relate that to the football field. So basically I did that before all this thing on YouTube and videos that you can do. It basically took a move that it was all I was just reacting to. Then, you know what, I'm going to train this pattern. So then when I get, in that situation again, I know what to do. My body is habits. Just like we blink our eyes, that cut is going to just happen. Boom, boom, boom. And without me even thinking about it.
Hey, how about these running backs in this game, though, Ahman, coming up this weekend, Sunday, primetime game? Lofa and I were talking about Josh Jacobs, but on our side of the ball, Kenneth Walker might be out, but Charbonnet had a career day last week. What do you think about the backs?
I like both backs. I think I drafted Zach on one of my fantasy leagues. And then Kenny last year. I had Kenny on one of my league teams last year. So, very respectable guys that I say with Kenny, and I'm look at his height here. He's not real tall. So his center of gravity is, he's 5'9", and that's a problem and this, Lofa, for linebackers. Anybody that's small, but they're over 210 and he's right at 211. He's a bowling ball. And so trying to fit him up as a linebacker is hard to get your hands around him, literally. And so with that, he runs well behind his pass. That's what I love to see. I look at running backs that know how to run behind their pads. Basically, that means your shoulder pads, not their helmet, their shoulder pads, where they're leading with their shoulder pad in the contact. And a boy there that was a prominent a beast mode, he did that very well. And so having that in the Seattle running back lore is something that I love to see, knowing that the coaches find that in another running back that's special. When you can find that at the high school or at the college level, he came out of Michigan State, that's something. And then Chardonnay is he's not as physical as Kenneth, but he can get the ball. He gets the job done. He has his style. He's a little taller. So he's like, he reminds me kind of a Robert Smith, if you remember, from Minnesota. Years before me, kind of a long strider, and that's what I see when I see Chardonnay run the ball.
Right. Looking like you on the fat head behind you there with the shoulder down. Look at that, Lofa. Look at that. That's back there.
Huh? That's just an example, right?
Yeah.
Behind the pads.
Same foot, same shoulder. You know that right there.
Yes.
Hey, I learned that from one of my linebackers in practice. I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of Nate Wayne. He was with us in Green Bay from 2000 to about 2002, 2003. And I remember one day in practice, I watched him film, and he hit one of our fullbacks in the hole, and he won. Like, it was a victory on his end. And I was like, ooh, I like what he did. And I'm like, Nate, so I went to practice the next day, and I said, Nate, what's that? What you call it? Do you have it a name where you hit so and so yesterday in the A gap and you won? He said, oh, same foot, same shoulder. I make sure I plant, get that. If it's my right leg or my left leg, and my right shoulder's all in line, and it's that move that if you go in the weight room, it's what we're talking about, the 3 extensions, for hang cleans,
triple
and power
extension,
cleans, triple extensions, power cleans. That's that move. I'm like, when he said that, I was like, oh, I got it. It clicked right away. I was like, I've been doing this since I was in high school. So, okay, now you made it into a power move on the football field that it's like hitting a tree stump. That's what he said too. He said it's like hitting a tree stump, AG. And I'm like, I said, oh yeah, I've heard things about tree stumps that they hurt. If you run, it will destroy your car. In other words, if you run into a tree stump. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna incorporate that into my running style. And I think and it was 2 days later I gave it to him. He's like, you had to do me like that? I said, hey, I had to practice somewhere, bro.
When the student becomes the teacher.
Exactly. I was like, hey, I had to try it out. You taught me something new. I had to see if it worked. And it worked. He said, man, you hurt me, bro. I'm like, hey, I love you, my teammate. I didn't hurt you. I could have did it worse, but we were good.
Yeah.
Well, when you put it together too with the nasal strip and the elbow pads, like, look at that back there, Lofa. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't even wear the Breathe Right strips anymore. That used to even be an option on Madden where you could like turn it off. Turn it off. They don't do that.
Yeah, I had to deal with Breathe Right too. That's why I was wearing them every game, and they worked. I mean, I'll be legit. They worked. I wouldn't anything I had on my body was there for a reason. It was something because it worked. It did its job, like the forearm pads, everything. I even my thigh pads. I got the thigh pad that wrapped around my thigh because I was getting so many thigh bruises because guys were hitting me low. Yeah, and so I was like, man, forget that. I went to Red Batty, our equipment manager. EK, he talked with Red a lot. So, I said, Red, man, I got thigh bruises on the side of my thigh. Like, anything you could do with that? He said, AG, I got something for you. Give me a couple of days. He's like wiry guy from Canada. He's like, yeah. I got something for you. I got something for you. And like 3 days later, he's like, here you go. And he's like, put them in your pads. Tell me how they feel. And I'm like, oh, it feels good. He like took the regular thigh pad that has the 3 notches and then sewed on another side of it that wrapped around the legs. And you see it in the kind of like the Under Armour tights that you sometimes see where the running backs have the whole pad around the thigh. That's where that started.
You started this, huh?
Yeah. Damn. Yep. It was because it was like, man, I'm gonna try to run the ball, but I'm not gonna take no more. I don't want to take no more thigh hits. Those thigh bruises suck.
Yeah, thigh bruises are crazy.
Yeah. Get that dead leg feeling, that Charlie horse feeling. No,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
No. I had plenty of older cousins that just did that to me. I can't imagine having NFL linebackers.
Yeah, that's you getting picked on. But my brothers did the same thing. Or guys in my neighborhood would be wrestling. Charlie horse, they do their knuckle like this. Get the knuckle and then start twisting. I'm like, see,
a bee sting. You want another bee sting?
Yeah. I never heard bee sting. That's a new one.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one either.
Hey, speaking of physical, though, this one's going to be an old-fashioned, just hard-hitting game, I think. Both teams want to run the ball. Both teams want to run through each other. And also, I think both teams are being disrespected by everyone out there. Around all over the place. We were talking about how the Seahawks are flying under the radar, but what about the Packers? I mean, they take the Lions all the way to the limit, and they've got 9 wins over here. I mean, these are 2 teams that could be 2 of the best teams in the entire league.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll say start with on the Packers side. What I've been saying in the couple weeks or week, I say a week from the game, how that game for the Packers is just a measuring stick. It's like, oh, we're not that far off. Like, we basically went blow for blow where everybody knows that the NFC road goes to Detroit this year. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go to the playoffs, if you're going to go to, try to be the title winner for that conference, it's Detroit. And so, hey, we only lost by 3 points. I know for me as a player, I'm like, oh yeah, we're not that far off. I'm like, so whoever we face from here point on, we're in the playoff push now anyway. And you got to you got to build your will to win because you want to do your job. If you got an extra game, they got 17, not 16. to get to the playoffs and solidify, your position. And it's going to be tough. NFC North is one of the toughest division in NFL right now. So even, they could probably finish out undefeated. It's going to still be interesting to see because you got Minnesota right there in the thick of it and Detroit. And so the only thing holding down Chicago is themselves. They'll figure it out, and then they're going to be a problem in another 2 years if they get it right. They have the right players in place. They just right now, upper management don't know which way to go. And that's unfortunate because they got talent there. With Minnesota, Sam Darnold coming in, balling like he is, and having a run game with Aaron Jones. And then the defense has been there for the last couple of years. And then Detroit, man, Dan Campbell is just done. Yeah. I say he's done what a coach I knew that could come in with the right mind to turn that organization around, to say, hey, let me do football. Upper management, you handle the business, get me money to get me players. We're going to be fine. I'm going to give him a mentality. Like he said, when he said we're going to be biting kneecaps and stuff. I said, yeah, that's the dude right there. Detroit. I said, Detroit is about to change from that like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, yeah, he's the guy. So that's how I look at like this, the divisional race. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be another game for Green Bay to say, look, we handled those guys. We got a tough road game now with Seattle. This team is also they're in the same mindset of proving themselves. Yeah. Gino has been doubted ever since he got there, even though he's been Pro Bowling it and he's been having good seasons. And then, Walker, the defense, they have guys in place. They have a defense in place, and not the boom what it was, before and when you were your time there, Lofa. But they have a respectable team. I tell people all the time, wait a minute, like you got to remember, yeah, okay, they may not you may say they're a bad team, but you got to remember this is NFL caliber players. Eventually, it's a thing called pride that steps in at this time of the year. Pride steps up. It's like, look, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't care what they saying on ESPN, NFL Network. These are conversations in a locker room. You Lofa, you probably been in a conversation when you with your team. Like, hey, I don't care what they say on TV. They're saying they're going to win this. Nope. Let's go change the narrative. Make it our.
Block that noise out and like let's just handle business, man. Because it's just all that matters. Those guys between the lines in that locker room. And so, yeah, I can't wait to see it. Does this matchup make you nervous at all? Serious question, because we're rolling right now.
Yeah, no nervousness. I say a good game. I said for the Packers, what they need to do is what they've been doing. Like I said, match blow for blow with Detroit. A couple weeks ago, they gave it to the 49ers, and then Miami. Continue on that. I say when they lost, it's just like anything else. For turnovers, big plays, giving up on defense. So turnovers on offense, big plays giving up on defense, and then special teams sometimes, messing up, a muff punt, a missed field goal. You can't have those things. You cannot. These are right now. This is at the point, December, you can't have those at all. It's almost it's a zero tolerance for any of those what I just mentioned, because that will keep you from winning, because everybody has that sense of urgency right now. Everybody's affected with it because they know if they're on the bubble, or if you're in the rush or in the playoff push, you can't sabotage yourself out there on the road.
Well, we got a tough little stretch. I mean, you talked about the Vikings. We got you guys. We got the Vikings right away. I think, Lofa, we figured out we're playing 3 games in 12 days. You guys
that's crazy.
Coming off of a mini bye because you played all the way last Thursday.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah. Ahman, why doesn't the league or the nation respect Geno Smith? Why is the narrative with the Seahawks always that they're a great team if they had a quarterback? We have a quarterback.
Yeah, you have a QB.
What's up?
Something I do all the time on my shows. I always talk to the fans and say, hey, y'all need to pump your brakes. You got to remember, these guys are, like I mentioned already, these are NFL players. They wouldn't be doing their job or be on a team and have a jersey or whatever team jersey they're in if they wasn't pro level. So you saying somebody's not good or whatever, just maybe they haven't had the experience to gain it yet, but that don't make them not a good player. Because for one, they're good. If they're a terrible player, they wouldn't be where they at.
Right.
So Gino, what he has, his story is interesting. It's a good story because he kind of, he got drafted out of West Virginia and was a little, I think he admitted to little obnoxious or whatever his rookie couple years. He went to the Jets. And then finally, I think it was when he got to Seattle where he kind of humbled down and start paying attention to the things that that's going to make him a good quarterback. I think it started at the end. I saw a little interview he did right as the trade or free agent change over when he went from New York to Seattle, and he talked about that. And I'm like, that's a point where a player realizes, okay, I'm a professional now. Yeah. And so, I came in thinking I was going to be that guy, and but you had to be that guy and do that guy stuff. You can't just walk the talk. You got to talk the talk too. And so he figured that out and said basically to himself, I'm going to do this, and he did. And that's why he got to the Pro Bowl. And that's why he is the starter for the Seattle Seahawks right now. So I tell people all the time, pump your brakes, man. For any position that came out and they had the marquee behind them because of their college career, hey, you got to remember, it's an interesting transition to the NFL to college, from college football, or for college football to NFL. And if players sometimes don't have their mind in the right place, they're going to go down that wrong road. And Lofa, you know what I'm talking about, because you think you're all that, and it's like, no, bro, you got to prove yourself again. You're back at the bottom of the totem pole. I don't care if it was a first round or a seventh round. You have to prove yourself to your teammates first, and then you getting the trust of the coaches. And so he learned that, and that's why you see what he's doing right now. So I'm loving it. I'm happy he's able to do that, as a Seahawk, and he's going to continue to prosper. So now he has a squad around him. He got 2 running backs. He got a pass game. I believe Fant's still there, right, Noah? The tight end.
Yeah,
he's a Nebraska boy kid. He went to Omaha South, so shout out to Mr. Noah. Okay. Omaha South High. What's the Packers? They're Omaha South, the Packers.
No way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if anybody knows that for Big Fant there, the big tight end from he went to Iowa State. Iowa. He's an Iowa kid.
Yeah. Lofa, should we predict the scores?
Yeah, let's get to the score prediction.
All right. We do a score prediction here on the show every single week. You guys can find the post on our Instagram. It's at All Day Family. Find the collaborative post between us and our sponsor, Simply Seattle, the best apparel company up here in the Northwest. They have much, much more than just your Seahawks, Mariners, Huskies, Sounders, Kraken. I mean, every Seattle sports team they've got covered. But then they also have just really cool Northwest stuff. Check out this Rainier beer hat. This is a Simply Seattle hat, everybody. Isn't it gorgeous? With the mountain on there. Head over to simplyseattle.com. Use our promo code, all capitals, all day, to take 15% off of your purchase at Simply Seattle. But also make sure you find the score prediction challenge. Predict the score. You get entered to win a gift card, which I believe this week is $125, $150.
Nice.
It's over $100, everybody. It'll be listed on the post. So Ahman, as our guest, what will the score be after the game is done Sunday night?
I kept it at a tight score. I think my pick earlier this week, I did 20-17 Packers.
Okay.
Home win or road win. Excuse me. Road win.
But a close one. Now is that a last second field goal, or is someone putting a knee on it?
I like last second field goals. I like that.
Breaking our heart.
McManus, man, he's 2 for 2 in last minute field goals for the Packers.
Okay.
So I'll say that's that right there. But he hasn't had to in the last couple of weeks because the team, they had Detroit, but Miami and 49ers, they were out front in that game. But I don't see them getting out front against this team. Being on the road, being a Sunday night game, the 12th man going to be out. So it's going to be loud. I tell people, man, the way to build it. I remember when they built that stadium, even though I wasn't a Seahawk, I saw some of the like documentaries they did on it, and they made sure they found and built it the same, like the audio decibel level as Arrowhead Stadium and other stadiums that were super loud. So I'm like, that works into a factor. So because those guys up in the Northwest, they're smart. Microsoft, all them companies up there, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing in the Great Northwest. So,
Loaf, what do you got?
Oh man, both teams can score some points. Our defense looks like they're a little healthier and better right now. No disrespect, Ahman. I give us the edge there, and if we can just get pressure on Love like the Lions did last week and like we did against Kyler in the last couple of weeks, I got us winning this one, and I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be high scoring. So I'm going to go 31-28.
Okay.
Hawks.
Nice.
All right.
I like that.
All right.
I like that.
I got it's always a weird score. I've never nailed a score prediction correctly because
I'm not good either. Don't beat yourself up about it.
It's always going to be weird. So give me the Seahawks 29 because I think your defense is a little banged up and I think our offense is rolling a bit. Hopefully they can keep it rolling. So give me the Seahawks at 29, the Packers at 23.
Okay.
In a good game.
Yes,
Sunday.
very good game.
You guys find our score prediction challenge, and thank you to Simply Seattle for sponsoring that. Before we let you go, Ahman, I got to take you guys back to like 1998, 1999. A young Brett sitting in his parents' basement with my brother playing Nintendo 64 and NFL Blitz.
Oh my God! Yes,
every single time with I believe it was Warren Moon, Ahman Green, Ricky Waters, and was it Joey Galloway?
It had to be JG. Yep, JG.
A stacked team, you guys. And then defensively, I don't even remember who. Maybe Chad Brown.
Chad Brown, Michael St. Clair, Sean Springs, Cortez Kennedy.
Of course, yes.
Cortez Kennedy. Yeah.
I mean, Ahman, take us back to just being drafted, coming to the Seahawks, and then how the hell did you get out of here? We got to get that.
I can tell you that story too. So when I got drafted there, my mindset was this. I told myself because I was a third round, and by the third round, I was not a happy camper. I had a big chip on it. I had this big rock on my shoulder, right? I was like, all right, I'm about to pay back all 31 teams that looked me over. And even somehow I'm going to do it to the Packers because not the Packers, the Seahawks, as they drafted me. We're going to figure that one out. I'll worry about that later. But right now, the other 30 that don't have me, they got a problem coming when we play against them. So I had that chip on my shoulder. So in 99, that's when Mike Holmgren came in.
Yeah.
And, I'm super excited. Like, oh man, the West Coast offense, they throw the ball to the running back. They run the ball too. This scheme is going to be awesome. And he gets there. Mini camp went great. Then training camp hits, and it's like now full on install of offense, red zone, 2 minute, all that I'm getting. So all my brain is spinning because it wasn't as much install in the mini camp. So I'm like, oh, what's going on? Why am I missing everything? I was making mistakes in the games, going the wrong way. I was overthinking because I was processing. So I was like in the doghouse out of training camp. I fumbled the ball a couple of times. And so this is how I got out. So had a good second year. So by the end of the second year, just like my rookie year, I became the third down back behind Ricky. So any third down, short yardage thing, I was in there. Come the rest of the season. And it still bugged at the end of the season, even though I had a good year in 99, it still bugged Mike Holmgren that I was at. To him, I had a fumbling problem. To me, it's football. I knew I was nervous. Once I got calm and collective and I wasn't thinking too much and I was being that football player that I know I could be, I was throwing out good stuff. The coaches, players were like, man, I had guys like when you have Cortez Kennedy and Michael St. Clair like, hey, rookie, or hey, young buck, why you not starting? I'm like, you got to go ask the coaches. I don't want to get cut.
Yeah.
So I was letting that to the veterans. I was like, y'all going to have to figure that. Y'all going to go have an argument with them. I'm not here for that. I'm just here trying to play ball. So with the fumbling-itis thing that he thought I had, it bugged him. So he called up, Ron Wolf called him up because I saw Ron at this airport one time in Detroit flying back to Green Bay. And Ron Wolf, so Green Bay Packer GM, this is after the fact. He says, Ahman, you know what I did? He said, I called Mike up because I knew he said that you were in his doghouse about fumbling. He always had a thing about that, even in Green Bay with the running backs there. He said, I called my Mike up and I said, hey, what you thinking about Green? He said, I love him. He's a good back. He's young. He has potential, but he just has a problem holding on to the ball. And he's like, well, just, give me, what's your thoughts? And he's like, he said a few other things. And he said, Ron goes, well, you know what? If you still got an issue, you know what? I don't mind the fumbles. I could deal with them. He's like, click. Then they hung up the phone, and a couple weeks later, I was a Seahawk. I was a Packer. I was like, and and I just met with Mike, so we had our year-end meetings. Season ends. We went to the playoffs. We lost to Buccaneers in the first round in the Kingdome. The week later, 2 days later was the year-end meetings. Then like another 2 weeks later, I came into his office. He's like, Ahman, this Mike Holmgren talking to me. He had a great season. You could push Ricky Waters for the starting job. You learn this offense a little bit more. You're getting all the rules, boom, boom, boom. And that's all I needed to hear. I'm like, game on, let's go. It's competition. I love it. This makes me better. And then a month later, I'm driving to Green Bay with my wife and my daughter, Monty, that was like 5 years old, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm going back to the Midwest. I'm like, oh my goodness, like what did I do? What did I do so bad? Because it was just the cold weather. Like I'm not that I didn't hate the Midwest. It was just the weather was moderate in Seattle. The people were awesome, and it was a tech city. I'm a tech guy, you know. I had Microsoft neighbors, so I was hearing stuff about the Xbox before it dropped. I was so geeked up. I'm like,
here in Seattle, man.
Yes, I was loving my time there. And
I'm telling you, man, if I had a nickel for every time my dad was like watching the Packers after you ended up there and just going, how did we let this guy go? I can't believe it. My dad said was just exploding all the time about Ahman Green. I just always heard about it. Like, we had this guy. What in the world? What are the Seahawks always doing? You know?
Yeah. In my head, one more thing. In my head, I was like, remember my first flight into the Emerald City. In my head, I was like, I'm gonna do 10 here or more. That was in my head. I said, I'm gonna do 10 years here or more. I'm gonna make this team. You know, because I knew what I could bring to a team, you know, from a running back standpoint and a leadership standpoint. I was like, I'm ready to be here for 10 years. 10, whatever after that is bonus. But I'm definitely doing 10 on this team and see where I could take this team as a player on this roster.
The two things I got from that story was, okay, the fumbling issue. If I was a friend, I would be like, your biceps are too big. You're gonna have to find a way to make those things smaller. But then I think I heard Ron Wolf was tampering. Was that correct? We're going to have to get back to that.
Maybe. This is too, yeah. Hey, them old school guys, because Ron Wolf, you remember, he was around Al Davis too. They worked together. Definitely. They worked together. And it was him and Bill Walsh at one point in time. They were all buddies, like the GMs, and because he was a scout. He started off as a scout. You know, an area scout. You know, area scouts go to a region of the United States, just like Al Davis, just like Bill Walsh and his crew of coaches under him. They all in cahoots. But I have to ask, okay, 2-time national champion. I still put Nebraska, the mid-'90s, late '90s teams up there with the greatest of all times. Mm-hmm. Where do you rank your team in like the history of all the NCAA great national champions? Because I put you up there. I feel like you would have beat our 05 team, our 04 team. Yeah, because you were USC, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I had you in Miami squaring off is how I see it.
That's where I have it at. And I've been in this conversation a lot. And it was one conversation in particular that was probably the best one of all time. It was me, my wife, and a friend of hers that she went to high school with that lived in Vegas. And this had to be 2009. So it was 2010. I just retired. And he's getting in an argument with me. He went to Tennessee. And I'm like, he's like, man, y'all did the, I know y'all beat us. I'm like, look, I'm not even trash talking. He's doing all the talking to himself, right?
He knows he lost already.
Right. He's like talking craziness to me. And I'm like, he said, man, y'all team wasn't even that good back in 95. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna do like Signetti from Indiana. I said, look, YouTube it right now or Google it. I said, Google it and see what it says for about a 90. I said, because that team, what I've been told I'm saying this to my wife's friend, what I've been told, we were the best college football team of all time at that time. Yeah. I'm like, so Google it. He Googled it. Yeah. And it in the first line on Wikipedia, it says the 1995 Nebraska Cornhuskers won a national title, beating Florida 62-14, led by freshman newcomer Ahman Green, who had 1,000 yards that season. So I'm like, Google me, bro. I told you, I said we were that team. So if you rank them, I say we're up. I got to put us above Miami because we were so physical that year. Yes. And it could be Miami 92 or 91. It could be Miami 02. We were so physical where we averaged 400 yards rushing on the ground. Just think about that, Lofa.
I can't. My brain can't even compute that.
My freshman year, I didn't start until the 6th game of the season. And I was averaging 100 yards as a backup.
Wow. I still had 1,000.
I still had a G.
Did you ever throw it?
Barely.
Right?
Barely. The only
Tommy
team that Yeah, Tommy could say it too. The only team that put us behind, it was 2 teams that put us behind. K-State and Wazoo. Wow. Wazoo came to Lincoln, and it was a new, it's what I knew about the West Coast and about Pac-12 at that time, Pac-10 at that time.
Yeah.
I grew up in California. I don't know if you knew this, Lofa. I don't know if Mike will tell you this. I grew up in LA. I grew up 2 miles from USC.
Oh shit. I didn't know that.
In Lamert Park, Crenshaw area. I went to 42nd Elementary School and Audubon Junior High School. So I played at Rancho Park right by Dorsey for the Raiders. I was the Raider flag football, and then I played for Baldwin Hills and Culver City Pop Warner. So I knew the type of athlete that came out of Cali that not only may go to USC, go to UCLA, maybe go to San Diego State, but then anybody else, they will go up to Washington, they will go up to Oregon State, or they go to Wazoo, because it's just so many scholarships to hand out at that time. Some guys couldn't go. Everybody that was from LA couldn't go to USC. Everybody couldn't go to UCLA. So I knew Washington. I was like, in my head, I was like, man, it's going to be some runners on there. And it was. So they got us down 14-7. And it was the first time we were behind in the first half. And that was the only time we were behind, other than the K. And then it was 2 times the K-State game. We were down by 3 for like 2 minutes, and then we got the lead right back. But yeah, that Wazoo game, it started off fast. They were up 14-7 on us. And then the second half, that's when we kicked in gear. And I think I had 176 and a touchdown. And then this is my freshman year, and I didn't start the game. And that's why I was like, things like that just don't add up.
When I try to talk sense, because on our podcast, the All Day Podcast, I try to talk sense into people that have a problem with Gino, and I'm like, he doesn't have a run game, and then the defense wasn't ranked high for the last 3 years. I try to just make them realize all factors, and when you put all factors of your team in, and that's what I've been. Because when I talk to other people, I still have pride. I feel like old school. If it's one game to play, we put up a hell of a fight, maybe win, but. Now in this new college playoff, you got 1 week turnaround with how stacked you guys were, how stacked Miami was in the depth. This is why TCU got just dragged by Georgia, right? Yep. And I'm just saying, I don't think y'all kill us, but I don't know. I don't see just reasonably a favorable outcome for us.
I don't see a beat down either, because y'all have players, y'all got ballers, but it's going to be a game,
But you just said you had 170 as the backup. That doesn't happen anywhere else. Like the starter doesn't even get 170 at a good school.
Right. Wow. Against USC, against the USC team with the linebackers, D linemen that you usually have that line. Because I even knew God rest his soul. I knew D Russ too, Daryl Russell. We trained together in off season sometimes. Yeah. And so we have the same training coaches, strength and speed coaches. So. And that dude was a freak of nature. He was a beast.
Unbelievable.
Man,
I saw him dunk the ball. I was like, really? I was like, is that what you're doing? You 315 and you just going up like that? Like, oh my God.
Could run.
Yes. Yep.
Man, you guys, I hope you guys are like me. I'm just sitting here as a football fan. I could just sit here like a fly on the wall all day long. Listen to you guys talk. I'm like forgetting to do my hosting job and jump in here and steer this ship because And Ahman, we got to have you back in the off season, man.
And for sure. Please do.
All the nitty grittiness of all the different stuff here, but enjoy the game on Sunday night. I mean, I speak for a lot of Seahawks fans, man. When I say I think you're one of our favorite Seahawks because of what we saw you do that we could have had, and I talked to a lot of people coming into this week saying, hey, we're gonna have Ahman Green on the show, and so many Seahawks fans just going like, oh man, I love that guy. Tell him how much we would have loved to have him. So
I'll be there this weekend too. I'm coming in Saturday. Me and my wife are coming up.
Well, we'll be there
to the game. I talked to Mario and got tickets to the game.
Cool. We'll be there too. So say hi, and we'll have you back on the show sometime. But let everyone know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Oh man, I'm everywhere. Okay. Let's start with Instagram and X, Ahman Green 30, all one word. And then I do a gaming thing. I don't know if everybody told you I do it. I'm an esports guy. I'm a video gamer. I'm a streamer. So I'm on Twitch at Ahman Green TV. And then on TikTok, Ahman Green Gamers Lounge, along with Kick, the new platform that you can stream on there. And then Facebook and Twitch, Kick on YouTube. Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. I'm everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Video game, little Madden, little Call of Duty, little Halo, little Tekken. Have some fun,
dude.
And then get to talk football. You hang out with guys like Lofa and yourself. So it just doesn't get any better than this right now.
Man. Well, again, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy the game.
Hey, for sure. Next time we got to bring Mike Wall in, or I got some stories for you with Mike Wall.
All right.
I'll jump over to yours too. And hey, brother, it was an honor watching you play ball and do what you do. And then even greater honor getting to be on that field against you. And
same here,
appreciate
man.
You, man.
Yeah, much respect to you as well. I followed your game as well, knowing that you were a USC linebacker. I knew because like I said, my little league coach, one of my little league coaches, coached track at USC, and he would come tell me stories about football practice. He would go sneak into, and that was back in the 80s with like Ken Norton Jr. was there. He's talking about these dudes before he became a Cowboy. So yeah, I know the lineage of USC players in general. So much respect to you, Lofa, and the crew that you were with, Palomalo and all them guys. Oh my God. Yes. So much respect.
We had some dudes. We had some dudes.
You had those dudes. So.
All right, brother. You take care.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Okay, before we have our Seahawks sitting down, couple quick league headlines. First of all, how awesome is Ahman Green?
Dude, he was just a beast. And then everything he's doing post-football, he has, I believe, Mike Wall, former Seahawks legend as well, and Packer. He told me he has his own e-gaming sports team. So he has his own team that he owns, right? And then he streams himself. And then what I heard, though, was just a student of life when I listened to that conversation of how he learned and how he teaches the young guys that play ball now and the running backs. Like, that's a guy you guys need to follow, especially if you're a running back. And then just go look at his highlights. I mean, it's insane, what he was able to do.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad, I'm serious. My dad is the king of any athlete in any sport, Mariners, Sonics, Seahawks, whatever. If they leave Seattle and then they go do well somewhere else, he can't ever let it go. And Ahman Green is pretty high on that list.
He's like, we had that guy,
Exactly.
just keeps bringing it up.
Hey, around the league, the Niners, the Whiners and the Rams, they play on Thursday night. Unfortunately, I think we all have to be Niners fans for this game, even though I'd rather have, both teams lose, but I don't think that's a possibility. Can the Niners beat the Rams?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely can. And just the familiarity, right? And it doesn't matter where it's at, whether it's in San Fran, because I haven't checked, or it's in LA. There's going to be more Niner fans. I mean, we experienced that firsthand at Lumen. So I think they get Dre Greenlaw back, which is a very big piece, like an emotional leader, and the intensity he brings. One of my favorite linebackers to watch play this game. They get him back. That's going to be a big lift, and I expect them. They played a lot of football. 2 Super Bowls, 3 NFC championships the last several years. And so this is the time that they wait, it's like, okay, it's now or never. Like, let's go, because they know that window's closing. So any chance to get in, they're going to do it. And we need it. We need it right now, because we faced the Rams, at the end of the season, and we want as much room as possible going into that game.
Well, I don't know where they play the game either, but even if it's a Niners home game, it's not in San Fran. Don't forget, it's in Santa Clara. No matter what happens. I think also if they lose this one, they're basically out, right? Effectively. So they kind of know that.
Technically, not mathematically. Right. Like it would take the worst fall off for the Rams and us for that to actually happen, and them to come back, because only one team's going to the playoffs from this division. That's why the North, 3 teams are probably going in, because the West and the South are so only one team from each is going in. So. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll sort of root for the. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be watching. We'll put it that way. Yeah. How about let's see. Sticking with the NFL for a second here. How about Patrick Mahomes? We mentioned our schedule, but the Chiefs also have 3 games in 11 days. I think they only do it once this year. We're doing it twice, yet he's all over whining to anyone who will listen about the Chiefs' schedule, and he doesn't want to play on Christmas either, and he doesn't like the 3 games in 11. He's whining, and he's annoying me.
It's actually surprising that the league would do this to the Chiefs with, right? That's like their maker with all the star power they have on the field, off the field. Yeah. So, hey, good on the NFL for finally, doing something right.
What about all these trades? You know, this year was a ton of trades midseason. It almost resembled basketball or something. Some of them have worked out, like our trade for Ernest. I feel like is going very well and better than it was in the first game that he was here. He's finding his stride, all that kind of stuff. But you were pointing out a lot of these trades kind of haven't worked out.
I feel like it's the only one that has worked out. Right. You know, in amazing fashion. I mean, he's one of our best players on defense and seems to be like he's becoming one of the leaders. So that was an incredible move by John and Mikey Mack. And yeah, everywhere else we saw guys getting added. I thought Amari Cooper was going to be a huge addition. They're still winning. So, I mean, I know his numbers haven't really been there, which they will get there, especially this last stretch of the season. But just him being there as a decoy even and just eating up double coverage or like he's a problem, you know? And so it's helping the other guys. Shakur's having a great year. The guy that I said was going to have a good year or game against us that did. So he's definitely helping. But outside of those two moves, I haven't seen any moves that have really led to results that everyone wants to see. Devontae, they're 1-6 since getting him, and it's not his fault. It's not going their way. There's a couple others that just haven't panned out. I mean, there was a list of probably like 20 guys.
Uche with the Chiefs, we thought that would be big. He was a healthy scratch for one of these games,
right? Like, so it's surprising to see. You know, when it seemed like, you know, like with the NBA and even Major League Baseball, like, oh, this is the guy that's going to get us over the hump. In a lot of these situations, that's what they were thinking, and it just hasn't worked out for whatever year. This year, we'd have to go back and, you know, visit the past trades that have or haven't worked. But yeah, Johnny Snyder just making magic happen again.
Yeah, it's a different sport. It's not baseball. It's not basketball. I mean, baseball, you show up on a new team, you pick up a bat. You know, there's a pitcher that you probably saw 2 weeks ago anyway out there. You know, you play some ball.
You're both in different uniforms.
Football is just completely different.
But you're right. One person doesn't change the whole team. And even, you know, as great as Ernest has been, they also introduced Tyrese Knight to the lineup. And so it's been, you know, two new faces on that defense. So yeah, it's you never know, right? And then like some are done for, you know, from the management level as like, okay, well, cap wise, it'll help us, whether they're expected to, you know, use the guy as a starter or not. But either way, you're going to a new city. You have to figure out what the team's all about. You have to understand like the rules of not just the team, but the defense or offense you're being put into. So it's but yeah, it has not been spectacular for any of the moves outside of us.
I have a couple of college football questions, but my last NFL headline here. Have you seen this video? I think it's an old video from 2023, but it resurfaced of Mark Gastineau wanting to fight Brett Favre at a card trade show because he says Favre laid down for Strahan, and you know Strahan got to break Gastineau's sack record, and Gastineau's still pissed about it. And these two old guys are trying to dust it up at a card show. Whose side are you on?
Give me Gastineau. Favre don't want that smoke. I saw the video. Someone sent it. A bunch of people sent it to me. Right. But this is different generations, right? In terms of like how the integrity of the game and just like, hey man, like, you know, Gastineau had to earn those 22 sacks. And I mean, look, Strahan did, okay, 22 of those he earned, the 23 that broke it. I think we clearly saw it. He didn't like earn it, but Strahan was a problem and he was beating double teams consistently. Like, so, and a chip of the running back when like those running backs could hit you in the knees, like cause all sorts of problems. So it's difference of opinion is definitely what we saw there. But I don't know. I would just love to see them duke it out.
Well, so that's who you have in a fight, but are you with Gastineau on being pissed at Favre in general?
I mean, records are made to be broken. I mean, doesn't matter how it happens, right? Like It's just it was awesome that it stood for a very long time. If I had a record and someone broke it, no, congrats to that guy. I wouldn't have a problem.
You wouldn't be hanging on to it this many years later. I think, for Gastineau, though, he's not in the Hall of Fame. If he was the sack leader, maybe he would be. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think without having that record for him, he sees it as, it hurt him in these ways, just in business ways. Those guys didn't make the same money that they were making by the time Strahan set the record. So he kind of needs these shows. He needs the publicity, I think. And so for him not having that title, I think it's affected him in these like really real ways, that obviously he's still,
that's a great point.
Morning America and in the Hall of Fame and, this or that. Whereas, I mean, he's not. How is Gastineau not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I'd have to check the numbers. But wait, are you saying Gastineau would have been on Good Morning America? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. Maybe.
No.
He did some professional boxing after he was done in the NFL.
Oh yeah, this is old school, like tough. When he approached Brett, I don't care that he had a cane. Like he will hit Brett with that cane. Like this is old school tough.
Yeah.
And Brett's a tough dude, but like it's at the end, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It kind of is what it is. I can't really go back and take it back or anything.
Gastineau is 6'5", 266. They had him listed. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in 82, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL sack leader in 83 and 84. Member of the Jets Ring of Honor and the Jets all-decade team.
How many sacks total?
107.5.
Oh shit. Okay, so
and he came in at 79. So when did they start keeping track of
81 or 82, I think?
Okay, so
because that was the same with Jacob Green. Jacob Green would have like 125 or something like that. And so when it comes to the Hall of Fame, I feel like that's 7-time Pro Bowl All-Pro is kind of like the threshold. Like 7 or north of it is kind of where you get like into the finalist range, and then they do their they bid their case and say, hey, this is why he should. So he definitely has a chance. That's a lot of numbers right there. And but it's just like that Pro Bowl All-Pro, and maybe that sack record, you're right, now that I'm thinking about it, could
how many
benefit him.
you've actually had, right. Anyway, played for the Jets from 79 to 88, and then did 1 year with the BC Lions in 1990 before becoming a professional boxer.
What a beast.
Yeah. Crazy. College football. Bill Belichick is back. Coaching. He's going to be at UNC. Get out your NIL money, I guess, is actually the case.
I thought you were going to say hide your daughters. Chapel Bill, baby. Here he comes.
Here we go. Does that mean that the Huskies lose their defensive coordinator?
I believe that's what it means. Yes.
Yeah.
So, because I haven't, first of all, remember, and I'm going to say straight to the All Day family, I'll say it here, but in case you don't watch this one, I'll say it again on the live. I'm sorry, I was wrong, because I said there's no way this guy's going to college. And, I feel like maybe he watched, and just to make an ass out of me, he accepted the job,
Yeah.
But how do you think he's going to do?
That's what I was just going to ask you. With these young kids these days, a guy like grumpy Bill Belichick coming in his torn hoodies and like slapping kids' phones out of their hands when they're on TikTok and stuff in the locker room. Like, is he going to be able to sort of, mesh with this generation, and especially what's going on in college football? I would say he has a good chance, because college football is basically becoming pro football with the transfer portal, and it's almost like free agency and stuff. So
he already knows the infrastructure that is professional football. So that's the advantage he has. Can he relate to these kids? I believe he can. The personality he's shown on TV, which I guarantee you he did not show behind closed doors when he was the greatest head coach that ever, was in the National Football League. If he just is himself, like he's shown us, I guarantee you Guys will sign there, he'll pay them, and then he'll have the pay structure like slotted like a professional team does, which a lot of these colleges don't. They need a GM. That's where this thing's headed. And I think he already has somebody from one of his former staffs joining him. I forget, I read the name, but I forget who it was. But so he has all of it down. And then just relating to the kids, that's going to be the issue. But Bill as a head coach always saved Bill as a GM, because there were several guys he brought in, guys that could still play, and it didn't go well. So how's that going to work? That's the only dynamic that I'm seeing, because I think he'll be fine, and it's professional sports now, so he has more experience than all these other coaches,
right?
And it'll be easier for him than all these other coaches. But yeah, can he relate to the kids? That is the number one factor.
How quickly does Pete follow him?
I don't think he does. Pete wants NFL, man. Right. Pete wants NFL, and I'm surprised Bill didn't want NFL. I think he did, but he just didn't want to wait. Right? So. Because Bill's only 14 wins away from passing Don Shula as the all-time winningest coach, and that's unfinished business. I know he will go back up and take care of. That's a season, a great season, or 2 seasons, or 2 7-win seasons, 8-win seasons, right?
Yeah, we'll see how long he stays at Carolina there, North Carolina.
2 years. I'm calling it now. 2 years.
Who you got for Heisman?
This is hard, right? So the criteria, right, is the best player. The best player. And as much as I respect and love what Ashton Jeanty's doing at Boise, it's unbelievable. Yards after contact, 2,000 plus yards. This guy's going to be special in the NFL. It has to go to Travis Hunter. This is a guy that plays All-American level at 2 different positions on offense and defense. And so for me, it's like there's not a more valuable guy. And I know the team didn't make the playoffs, and there's all that to consider. But the kid could be drafted at at wide receiver or corner, and he can play either in the NFL.
But at what level? I in my mind, as a receiver, if he just picks one or the other, is he then the best of that on his team, or is he, because he's doing both?
Are you talking in the NFL?
Well, just. Yeah, sure. In the NFL, is he going to have to pick one? But even if he does,
I think they're going.
It's so. I'm sorry, we're talking over each other. But I almost think the reason the story gets so much hype is because obviously he's playing both positions. But at what level for each one? You know what I mean?
I think he could play Pro Bowl at each level, at each position. So now to do that, he doesn't need a lot of time at corner. But he will have to go in the offseason and spend time running routes and doing more than. But I just, I see him as a receiver, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. I just feel like it's incredibly easy for him. Yeah, defense he knows too, and it's easy. But I just think about the wear and tear and how the body can hold up, because you still got to hit some people at DB. At receiver, if they can't catch you and they can't touch you. You can have a very long, healthy career and play for a long time. And he's got that kind of instincts and dog in him. And it's just refining little things where if he spent full time, but I think someone drafts him in the corner and they give him a package of, hey, you're going to run some fly sweeps, some reverses, some go routes. You're going to have 10 to 12 plays every game. But this is what's so crazy. He's averaged 115 plays for the season.
Crazy.
That's 2 games. 60 to 70 plays is 1 full game. If you get crazy, it's 80 plays, right? 85. He's averaging 115 plays every week.
Can I play devil's advocate though a bit for Genty?
Please do.
His team makes the playoffs, and I can't name another player on his team. So when you talk best player, especially for your team, can you tell me more Boise State players?
I could, but I don't want to embarrass you and your lack of knowledge. But that offensive line, if you watch that offensive line, they're pretty damn good. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of those guys get drafted, and just the scheme and how they do it. But it's the yards after contact. I think he's got 750 or 800 yards after contact, almost 1,000 yards after he's gotten hit. He has still gotten That's some Ahman Green shit right there, bro. Like if you don't get him down, you're not catching him.
Yeah, fast as hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out. We got a Seahawk coming in, and I know you got to run. So I'm going to stick around, chat with a Seahawk. You guys stick around. We'll wrap up the show here. Also, but before I let you go, and I mentioned this earlier, but Lofa, you put this out there on Twitter, man. People responding seems like Seahawk fans are going to be traveling down to LA for this Rams game, which could be for the division. We're talking about either joining someone's party or throwing a party ourselves. There's a link. There should be a link down here somewhere. And if there's not, check our social media soon. But look down here. There could be a link for an event if we're throwing one, trying to gauge everyone's interest and how much you guys want to party with us. So if you're interested in that, throw something in the chat. Let us know you'll be down in LA. Let us know you'll be looking for something to do. Or if there's a link there, go ahead and sign up or whatever you got to do. But are we partying in LA?
Brother, we are the party. Let's get serious.
Hell yeah. All right. Cool. Check it out, everybody. Let's chat with a Seahawk. Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawk safety Rayshawn Jenkins putting on the headphones, getting into the hot seat here on all day. Hey, Rayshawn, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, thank you so much for your time, man. We know you're coming off the practice field and you got a big game coming up this weekend, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
What's the mood in the building, man? You guys are playing great lately. What's the vibe?
Yeah, man. The vibe is like, how it usually is when your team is winning, especially late. Sitting in a good position to kind of just have things, the ball in our court and we determine, how the rest of this goes. So energy is high, but everyone's pretty, concentrated on what we have,
Hell
up
yeah,
ahead.
dude. Hell yeah. Well, listen, I'm from Seattle, born and raised, so we're used to the rest of the country sort of overlooking this little corner that we're in up here. It's your first year up here, but you guys are playing great. There you are atop the division, yet you look nationally, and there's just this maybe you guys are under the radar or there's this lack of respect. Do you guys feel that?
Yeah. That's something we kind of, mentioned, halfway through, the point to where we are now. And we kind of like it to be that way, us being that dark horse and, kind of overlooked because, when we step on the field Sunday, then, that just goes that much more into our advantage.
Well, you guys got a big one coming up in primetime this Sunday. I mean, this is a good team now, too. They're at 9 wins. They just took the Lions, down to the brink there. I mean, talk about this Packers game coming up, big matchup at Lumen.
Yeah, it'll be a huge test of where we are, as far as, we have a certain mindset in place where we would like to, place ourselves in our head. But this is a game to where, it's really just put up or shut up. This will really, test every phase of our football team, offense, defense, special teams. So it's a great challenge ahead. We're looking forward to it. We've, prepared up to this moment for a moment like this, and we're very appreciative of it.
Well, I don't know if you know, but historically, the Packers and the Seahawks have had some wild games in Lumen, especially in prime time. Where were you for the Fail Mary? Do you remember that?
I can't even remember, honestly. I mean, I would probably. What year was that?
I don't even remember. One referee's calling touchdown, the other one's waving it off. It was a mess.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where I was, but I'm pretty sure, if it was at Lumen and the little time I've been here, I've seen what Lumen is capable of. So I'm pretty sure it was electric.
Yeah. This is your first primetime game in Lumen, though, isn't it?
Thursday night against San Fran.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, this is the biggest one up to this point.
Oh, it's gonna be lit, man. Everybody's gonna be getting ready all day.
Yeah,
so they announced you guys are wearing the action green. Do you like that uniform?
Yeah, I've never, from my eye, I like it. I've never put it on before, so it'll be my first time in it, and I'm looking forward to it. Got some nice cleats to go with it, nice gloves.
Oh yeah,
you look good, you feel good, you play good, and then so on and so forth. So
you want to give us a preview of the cleats, or what can you tell us? Or are you trying to keep it a surprise?
It'll probably be a surprise for right now.
Okay, all right. We'll be looking out for it then. The team's good in the action green, man. Even when you go action green with the blue pants, the records are great. So is it a look good, play good kind of thing?
Yeah. That definitely plays a factor into it, but I mean, we're gonna go out there and play to the best of our ability, no matter what.
Hell yeah, man. Look, you've been banged up this year. You're coming back, from injury. I remember, early in the season, you're playing with the full cast on your hand. What's that like?
Yeah. It's not ideal.
Right.
You can't really, like, especially like tackling. You only have one hand. I had a really good friend that was able to be drafted into the NFL. He played for a little while. Shout out Shaquem Griffin. So I definitely see how hard it was to be able to play at an elite and high level in the NFL with just one hand. So, man, definitely hats off to that guy.
Oh, absolutely. No, we know about him up here in Seahawks.
Yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, absolutely. It was kind of like claustrophobic in a way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But you were able to take that one back to the house against the Giants.
Yeah. Hey, I guess it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, how about last week though? How about this last game, man? Finishing the game, you taking down Kyler there at the end. I mean, Seahawk Nation was going crazy about it because it's a point of pride to finish the game like that, isn't it? And not giving up one there late to them, even though the game, I mean, you guys, well, you went out there and put it away, man. You did. You took them down. I mean, that had to be a great feeling, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great feeling. Just like you said, there's just a sense of pride when you get down there and just defending your piece of turf. And we could have, how the game was, we could have let them score again, and it still may have not affected the game. But it would just, like I said, it's something it's a standard we uphold ourselves to, and we would not have felt right, ending the game like that and not on our terms.
Yeah. Where's that mindset come from?
I would say it's just something, we've been preaching since OTAs, really since, this new team got together and, new coaching staff and everything like that, just a new culture. I would definitely say the mindset has definitely come from that, and it's been built every day that we're out on the field. It's, hey, the ball has to come alive today. Scout team, give these guys the best look you can. So it's just always putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations in practice. So therefore, in the game, it becomes our reality, and it's comfortable.
Can you take us fans on the field though in those final moments? I mean, what are you guys saying to each other out there?
I know one thing, I like to say in particular is if we are who we are, we'll change the outcome of this game. If we are who we think we are, and that's the best defense in the league, then we need to put up or shut up right here.
Yeah, it's almost like that old Denny Green quote, right? The coach of the Cardinals, they are who we thought they were. Are we who we think we are? Oh, man, I love that. Hell yeah, man. Let's get to know you then a little bit, man. I mean, take us back, introduce us to a young Rayshawn Jenkins growing up, falling in love with football. And I mean, maybe that mindset that you're talking about was set in early by a coach or relative.
Yeah, it was definitely set in earlier. I would just say it was just something that just was God given. I've always kind of just been just a warrior mentality. Ever since I even put my pads on at 8, that was the first time I started playing football. I was a torpedo. I was like trying to take out everything. And it just stayed with me throughout my entire playing career. And, it's been, my mindset has been, something to help separate me from other competition. When you get to the NFL, everybody's good and athletic and tall and fast and this, that, and third. But then you always have to have something that separates you from the rest of the pack. Yeah. So, that was me when I was younger. And, I was a 2-3 sport athlete. So all that kind of just carry over into, kind of where I'm today.
Man, if Lofa was here right now, he'd be freaking out, which, I mean, he couldn't be here. He apologizes, but warrior mentality, those exact words is what he says all the time. So he'd just be cheesing from ear to ear right now, listening to you talk about that, man. I mean, first year up here in Seattle, how you like in the city, and have you been able to do some like Seattle type stuff in your time?
Yeah, I like the city a lot. Kind of reminds me of home when it comes to like the greenery here. Very green here. I would say, I went to, what is that? The Pike's Place Market,
Oh, yeah.
Pike's
Yeah.
Peak Market. Yeah, so I
Pike-
went there. I
Pike
went to
Place.
go grab. Yeah, I went to the fish market, the chowder shop, got the
Yep.
lobster roll. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been, on some hikes and stuff. So I've been kind of just been able to, get out here a little bit.
Cool, man. Well, we love seeing you play, man. We love having you in town. Love seeing you on the field. I'd say that torpedo mentality hasn't gone anywhere. That's how I describe
Absolutely.
the short time watching you, bro. Hey, we asked some pretty random questions here at the end. We've been doing this with all your teammates all season long. I got 12 questions. I got like 2 minutes on the clock. Rapid fire. Let's really get to know you. How about it?
All right, cool.
Okay. Question number 1, Rayshawn Jenkins. Do you collect anything?
If anything, real estate or watches.
Just leave it there. Number 2.
All right.
Do you put ketchup on a hot dog?
Yes.
Number 3. Do aliens exist?
Yes.
Number 4. Oh, I got this as Pearl Jam or Nirvana. We could leave it there, but some players don't even know who those bands are because I guess I'm an old guy.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but let's go Pearl Band for the coin toss.
Number 5. Can you count to 10 in a random order?
Jeez, 9, 7, 1, 2, 5, 4, 10, 6.
I think so. We'll have to check the tape.
All right,
Number 6. What's your halftime snack?
My halftime snack is normally a fast twitch, which has 200 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Whoa. Number
Right.
7. Beach house or mountain cabin?
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Let me go beach house. I'm a Florida boy. I gotta stay true to the roots.
How many tattoos?
Oof. Maybe 40. I haven't counted in a minute.
Oh man, I'm running out of time. Pancakes, waffles, or French toast?
French toast.
What's the last regular job you had?
Never had one.
What other sports do you play? You mentioned 3 sports.
Track and field and basketball.
Number 12, getting you out of here on this one. What is your favorite fruit?
Mango.
Rayshawn, thanks for your time, man. Go get them this weekend. Give them hell. We'll be rooting for you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Yes, sir.
That's it for the All Day Podcast this time, everybody. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on social media at All Day Family. Check us out on X at All Day Pod. Check out our sponsors, Bet Online, EpicSeats.com, SimplySeattle.com, and Delta. Make sure you go with the throw and sign up for 12status.com. If you're a Washington State resident and you're 18 years or older, you get 1 Delta Sky Mile for every yard that the Seahawks throw for. These are free Delta Sky Miles, everybody. All you got to do is take 30 seconds of your time and sign up for it at 12status.com. We've got our merch store that's also open at www.alldaybrand.co. We've got t-shirts that are making fun of the Vikings and making fun of the Bears. So those games are coming up. Make sure you get your t-shirts and you rock those when you go to the games where you're just watching at home. That's it for us. I'm Brett, for Lofa and Mike and Katie and everybody around here. Enjoy the game, and we will see you after the game right here on YouTube, live, taking your comments, taking your questions for as long as you have them. It'll start around 9 p.m. on Sunday after the game. Bye for now. Enjoy it.